Stephen Bartlett talked me through the get-up. I asked Tom Grennan as well. You wore Euro 96 last year.
Yeah.
World Cup 2002. And I had to remind him the qualifier where England beat Greece, Beckham free kick at Old Trafford. Are you going to curl one in from about 30 yards out?
I wouldn't count on it.
Oh, come on.
I'm not that kind of player. I'm a tapping player.
No, but I back you. Come on.
No, I think who takes free kicks for... I think Tom Grennan's a free kick taker.
He said to me earlier he wasn't. He's not good at set pieces.
Come on. We've got footage of him a couple of years ago curling a couple of it. He's a really, really good player.
Maybe he can do it in training, but when there's about 75,000 people
I wouldn't go near it. I wouldn't go
yeah,
near it.
He starts to panic a little bit. Listen, what an unbelievable performance it was last year at Stamford Bridge. Just what would it mean to you to replicate that at Old Trafford and Manchester United, the club that you support?
I am honestly, this might sound a bit cliche or whatever, like those Premier League players do after they do the post-match interviews, but I genuinely care most just about winning. I really care about winning. I really do, because it's so much fun and we do it for a good cause. But I also really think that it's important for England to win at Old Trafford in this kit. It's especially important. So my own individual performance, I just hope I don't embarrass myself. That's like really what matters, because if you embarrass yourself, the clips and the WhatsApp group chat is going to be horrendous for a while. So it's really just about doing myself justice, but the team winning for me.
And if that happens, you'll probably have to invite me on Diary of a CEO so we can discuss meme culture.
Yes,
it might actually be more interviewing you, because if it goes really bad, you have a say.
I know. Yeah, I need to pull my heart out. Yeah.
So what does Soccer Aid and UNICEF really mean to you? Obviously, you've been a part of both organisations now for the last couple of years. It's so special to you, and it obviously does so much, and you're getting younger people coming in and watching it as well.
Yeah, all I can say is just how surreal the whole process is. And when I was a kid, I dreamed about being a footballer. So I think, like many people probably say, I got to about 12, 13, thought maybe I had a chance, and then by 16 I realised that I was crap compared to some of my peers. I realised it wasn't going to happen for me. And the only other dream that I had is maybe at some point in the future, Soccer Aid would call me and ask me to take part. And it was about 2 months before Soccer Aid called me that I messaged my team and said this. I said, I'd love to do Soccer Aid one day. And then almost about 60 days later, I got a phone call, an email from Soccer Aid asking me to. And I just can't tell you how bizarre and surreal that is. And then to go to training and to sit alongside these legends of the game, people like Gary Neville's, Roberto Carlos, Petr Cech. There's a huge amount of imposter syndrome that comes with, because you just don't really know. Your brain almost can't compute what's happening.
Well, it must be strange at the same time when you're speaking about Neville, you're speaking about Roberto Carlos, then you're sitting in the changing room next to Danny Dyer. You've got the people that have won everything in sport. Usain Bolt training over there is the fastest man of all time, and then you have an actor from EastEnders.
Me and Lee Mack, he's the one who I know who is also thinking the same. We often say to each other, what the hell are we doing here?
When the odd one's out.
It's mad. No, and we've sat on the bench together for 1 or 2 years, and we have that conversation, which is just, isn't this mad? I've done it. This is my third or fourth year. I think it's my 4th year, and every single year I just can't compute what's going on. And the weird part is when you start to pull up at the stadium, you look out the window and you see people walking towards the stadium, and they're wearing England tops or the World 11 top, and you realise that they're walking through the street to go watch you play. And the only other experience I've had of people walking through the street to a venue is when I'm in the taxi on my way to watch Manchester United play or something like this. And then it sets in that there's tens of thousands of people that have an anticipation that you can kick a ball.
Is it a different feeling as well? Because you would have done live shows all around if you're doing a talk or whatever. Yeah. Is it a different sort of nervy energy when you go into a stadium to play football compared to you, say, doing a talk if it was like at Oxford or Cambridge or some big event? Yeah. Is it different levels of nerves?
It's completely different, because there I'm in my comfort zone. And when I walk into a football stadium with 50,000 people in the stadium, as I did last year, I'm completely out of my comfort zone, and I have to almost submit to the reality that I have no idea what's about to happen. And also, the interesting thing is you don't necessarily know where you're going to play on the pitch. So if our goalkeeper got injured, for example, maybe I'd have to put the goalkeeping top on.
Yeah.
So you almost can't be that prepared, and you have to just submit to the fact and have as much fun as you can and do your best. And it's terrifying, but yeah, that's why I think I love it so much.
You mentioned Gary Neville. I know he's one of the Dragons now as well. How inspiring, how great is his rise been into the business world as well?
Yeah, he's just evidence that you can resist your labels, and he continues to do that. He was a wing back for Manchester United, and then became a property developer across Manchester. Then he started other businesses and other sectors like hospitality. He's investing all over the place. And then for him to become a Dragon, and I'll tell you what, you see Gary Neville on TV, you see him as a pundit. He's very calm, very cool now. But I think he'll tell you himself, it was right back to day zero for him. He was terrified as I was when he sat down and they told him he was now a Dragon. He was as nervous as I was. I remember he gave me a call and was like, "Hey Steve, have you got some time where we could sit together and just like practice what it is to be a Dragon on the weekend? Are you able to like give me a day where you can tell me like, what am I supposed to write in the book again?" And although he's like risen in the media and everybody knows him and he's confident, he still had that same imposter syndrome. He was terrified. He did a brilliant job.
It's like the first time that he was doing like Monday Night Football. Do you remember the recording with him with Mancini?
Yeah.
And he's wearing the grey, sweating, he was nervous. But it's crazy to think, isn't it? No matter how many people you pray in front of every single weekend, it could be 75,000, 25,000. When the bright lights are on, a different side of nervousness comes out, doesn't it?
If you're outside of your zone of comfort,
then
it's straight back to day one, like it is for me at Soccer Aid.
I need to ask you this question.
Okay.
It's one about Diary of CEO quickly. We were discussing this in the office. How do you make so many people cry on that podcast? Is there a secret to this?
So what you do is when you give them their water, you pop in a little bit. No, I'm joking.
Something in the air conditioning.
No, I think there's a couple of factors that play into it. I think one of them actually is if you sit with someone for 3 to 4 hours, which is how long the recordings are, you're going to get to a certain depth. I think another thing is just the situational factors. We're in person, we're sat like this, and then I'd say the last big factor is 2 more factors. I think one of them is letting them speak, which is actually extremely rare in interviews because interviews are often time constrained. So if you're on like a Lorraine, for example, you only have like 4 or 5 minutes, so you never get depth. And then the fourth is the subject matter. And if you give people enough space, you let them speak, the subject matter is a little bit closer to home, this is what happens.